Narito ang programang totoong-totoo, Tambayan sa DWIZ. Programang magliliwanag ng ilang mahahalagang mga issue. Tambayan sa DWIZ. At ngayon, narito na sila upang maghatid ng saya sa bawat Pilipino. Sa programang Tambayan sa DWIZ.
Magandang tanghali. Welcome to Tambayan. Ako po si Trixie Cruz Angeles. 13 days bago po mag-eleksyon. At umiinit ang balita. Hindi lang po from the candidates themselves but all ancillary or related agencies at saka issues ay tatalakayin natin yan. DWIZ text line 0999-376-6768. Ulitin po natin 0999-376-6768. We're also on Facebook Live and YouTube live streaming. Huwag pong kakalimutan, like, share, follow, subscribe. Like and share yung video na ito at saka follow and subscribe dito sa DWIZ 882 Facebook page and YouTube channel. Kamakailan lang or ngayon lang actually na this morning or at about 3 o'clock this morning, in-announce ni Attorney Vic Rodriguez that his Facebook account has been suspended. Ulitin ko po yung Facebook account ni Attorney Vic Rodriguez has been suspended supposedly for violation of community standards. Para sa publiko o sa karamihan ng mga tao na nagbabasa ng mga statements na nanggagaling sa kampo ng UNI-team, particularly since Attorney Vic Rodriguez is the spokesperson of Bongbong Marcos, leading or the front-running candidate for the UNI-team in the presidential elections. So hindi po stranger ang mass media or ang ibang mga tao sa mga statements ni Attorney Rodriguez. He is widely reported dahil nga siya nga po ay ang kumakatawan kay presidential candidate BBM. Alam natin na bihira. In fact, wala namang issues sa mga sinasabi ni Attorney Rodriguez gawa ng ang sariling style niya sa paggagawa ng statement ay very careful at sa totoo lang, medyo conservative pa. Para dun sa ating mga sanay sa bardagulan sa social media, alam po natin na by any yardstick, very, how do you call this? Objective, at least, objective as much as he can be, di ba? Kasi spokes nga siya, advocate siya para doon sa kandidato na sa UNI-team. Nevertheless, he is a lot less excitable, kumbaga, a lot less, yung kumbaga, mas conservative talaga yung approach niya dito sa sa pag-i-issue ng statements. And although meron siyang, how do you call this, he's very pro BBM and of course pro UNI-team, which is natural since he is in that party. Compared to other statements, hindi siya ganun kaangas. So, ang pinagtataka natin ngayon, anong klaseng community standard kaya ang na-violate ni Attorney Vic? If any, at dyan po tayo magkakatalo, meron ba? Ang last na statement ni Attorney Vic was, nag-post lang siya nung upcoming na interview ni BBM with CNN. And then before that, his last statement, nag-share lang siya nung last na rally with BBM. And then before that, he made a comment on the dismissal of the cases versus presidential forerunner Bongbong Marcos. So ano kaya ang algorithm that would have stated that there is something wrong with the statements made by Attorney Vic? Gayon pa man, even in view of all that, nag-issue today ng statement si Attorney Vic, which I would like to read out loud. Sabi niya, on my FB account suspension, FB/Meta suspended my account because I am for Bongbong Marcos. This action is censorship of the highest degree and interference on a sovereign act. Yun. Digital terrorism, no less. I agree with this completely and I'll explain why. I will not appeal, sabi ni Spock's Vic. I will not appeal for I have not violated anything. My duty is to the Filipino people and not to FB or Meta. I will continue communicating with the many other forms of media available that are free from any filter, censorship, or manipulation from foreign platform providers. Bakit niya sinasabi yung ganito? O, unang-una, censorship. And we agree, this is censorship by a private organization. Censorship that nawalang katarungan dito. Censorship kasi pinatatahimik siya. Although, not in the sense of state-sponsored censorship, but this is now far, far worse. Sa international law, kino-consider na ang state parties lang kapag kakasuhan mo in the International Court of Justice. Ang mga partido na maaari lang kasuhan in that kind of, Attorney Glenn, oh good, I need you here. Sinuspend si Attorney Vic sa Facebook. Wow, likaw. So I just read his statement. 30 days daw.
Ano na?
That's assuming wala silang mahanap na bago.
Oh,
diba, alam niyo naman yan
yan.
Oo, so yung statement niya ay para sa mga nakikinig sa atin. Dito na po si Attorney Glenn Chong.
Magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. Boss. Actually, last time, papunta na ako rito.
Oh.
I don't know, kasi when I'm in my car, doon na ako nagsishare. Pagtingin ko, puno na sila eh. Sabi ko sa sarili ko, sana makusisingit dyan. Tatabi ako kay Attorney Tracy.
Yun yung yun yung Montalban watershed.
Yeah, oo. Kaya sabi ko, naku, puno na sila, doon na ako, diretso na ako
okay lang,
headquarters.
so baka naman. Pumunta kang HQ.
Pumunta na ako ng HQ kasi, sabi ko, puno na sila eh. Sabi ko, mahirap naman, paalisin ko yung isa. Ako yung late.
Ay, nako.
Natawa nga ako eh. Tapos kanina pag-check ko, siya lang mag-isa. Diretso na ako.
Nandito ka. Sakto.
The last time, di ba, 2 weeks akong wala eh. The last time, I was in the regional trial court sa Quezon City.
Okay.
Nag-witness kasi ako doon sa yung certiorari ng Public Attorney's Office doon sa forced vaccination ng mga bata. Oo. Matagal kami doon eh.
Dingvac siya?
No. It's the forced vaccination ng population age 5 to 11.
Meron silang Okay.
Oo, so may certiorari, prohibition, injunction. So,
nag-witness ka?
Witness ako doon. Witness ako doon.
Kakaiba yung feeling, no?
Oo.
Nag-witness.
Oo. Siyempre, Office of the Solicitor General tried to block me, but eventually I was permitted by the judge.
Okay.
Anak ni Chief Justice Teresita de Castro yata, yung judge doon eh. Oo, meron pala siyang anak na judge.
Taray.
So, balik tayo kay
so, si Attorney Vic.
Kuya Vic, yes, Attorney Vic.
Nag-issue siya ng statement nga na bakit siya appeal. So, he characterized this as 3 things. Censorship.
Yes, that's true. Correct.
Interference with a sovereign act, and digital terrorism.
Yes. I quite agree.
Tama eh. Sabi ko.
Oo.
Kasi yung kasi we were discussing this. So, censorship, maliwanag yon, pinatatahimik siya. Although in the strict sense,
subsequent restraint.
In the legal sense, only the state can
censor.
Can be sanctioned for censorship kasi this is considered a private space. However, I think nag-evolve na rin tayo kasi this is a platform, yes. It is privately owned, yes.
By Meta.
Correct. But there are 2 things here. Number 1 is that we have a contract with FB. But nothing...
Individual.
Yes.
Yes, individual. Yung user and Facebook.
As with Attorney Vic.
Siya, Attorney Vic and Facebook.
Right. There's nothing in that contract that allows for fact checkers.
Yeah. When
They
you signed
tried
up,
to
wala
put
namang
it in
sinabi yun.
later on. But we have no contact with the fact checkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like for me, I started Facebook in 2009 yata yun.
Sabay tayo,
2009 or
tayo.
2008. Wala pang fact checkers noong panahon
Wala
na yun.
po, kailan lang yun eh.
So my contract does not include that
Yes.
aspect.
Although they changed it later on. Di ba there was meron pang ang change ang FB saying that everything that we post there is owned by them. We have waived our rights to them.
Meron ba?
Meron, may
I am not aware
clause
of
na
that.
gano'n. Which I think we can still,
They must have added it later.
Yeah,
Because in
it was the
2008,
second,
2009, walang ganun eh.
Walang ganun.
Walang terms na ganun.
Lang yung you won't use it for illegal, ganyan.
The normal stuff.
So dito, because these are elections, iba yung characterization ng free speech natin. Second, the platform operates in Philippine jurisdiction. Diba?
Yes.
Kasi it's a cyber jurisdiction, but it uses pa rin, it advertises here.
It does business in the Philippines. Yeah. Its viewers are in the Philippines. Ang nagpo-post ng content are Filipinos.
Correct. And if the discussions pertain to elections, again, a sovereign act, may protection yung speech natin.
Yes, actually greater yung leeway doon sa mga
Correct.
sasabihin mo because this is election period.
Exactly. Particularly when it comes to Attorney Vic, who represents
a political candidate.
and an entire party.
Yes.
So,
yeah, because he's vice president yata ng
something
PFP.
like that.
Yes.
So, ang dito is that, is his speech protected? Or at the very least, hindi ba siya entitled to due process?
At the very least.
At the very least,
At the
diba?
very least.
Para
yung
masabi
pinaka-minimum.
niya. One, we have to know, kasi itong one of the best kept secrets of Facebook is that they will not tell us what those community standards are. They will
Sila
not
lang
enumerate.
nakakaalam. They can tweak it anytime to fit your case.
They describe it. Yung mga, it shouldn't be unlawful, it shouldn't be chuchu, but they just describe it. They don't give us parameters.
Ano yung particular na post ni Attorney Vic na subject ng mass reporting? Meron dyan?
Wala. He didn't post exactly why, but I read all of his posts. And these are statements either, yung last one that had a media card was yung dismissal ng cases.
Yeah.
How would that be violation of community
It's a fact.
standards? Tapos he posted a video of the last rally. How can that be,
Yeah.
And then a preview of the interview BBM has with CNN. So, ano nangyari?
Anong violation doon ng community standards?
Yun na nga. So, that's one.
Anong standards ang na-violate ni Attorney Vic?
We have no idea
Yun
since
na nga, kasi-
Facebook will never tell us what those standards are.
They can tweak it anytime para mag-fit doon sa kaso mo and then they will suspend you.
Di ba dito, yan? Even if it was a private company, pwede nating i-certiorari yan.
Yes.
Because wala naman limitations yung certiorari,
Yes,
whether public or private eh.
And then they should be subject to Philippine laws.
Yun. Yun yung importante dyan.
Oo. They are actually subject to the jurisdiction of the Republic of the Philippines.
Correct.
And its laws. Kasi they are actually operating here. They earn here.
Lalong-lalo na. And they don't pay taxes here.
Income earned outside, yes.
The contract says that any legal issues has to be coursed with their home
office.
office, which I think is saan ba yun? Pennsylvania, something like that. Basta it's in the US.
Hindi ba yan sila sa Washington State?
Hindi rin eh. Well, I'm not sure. Hintayin natin yung yung may mag-correct sa akin dito sa ating mga
Kasi di ba, if our income is earned outside of the Philippines, it's not taxed anymore.
Yeah.
So ganun din yun sa kanila.
No.
yata.
It's still taxed. For example, Manny Pacquiao. The fight is, let's say, in Las Vegas. He has to pay either taxes there or taxes here.
That's what I meant. Yung double taxation, to prevent double taxation.
Isa lang.
Isa lang ang babayaran dyan. Kasi if the US taxes it, hindi ka na magbabayad.
Correct.
If the Philippines taxes it, hindi na sila magkukolect because that would be double taxation.
Correct.
That's governed by agreements between the Philippines and the United States. That's what I had in mind kanina. Because obviously, Meta earns from the in the Philippines.
Advertising alone. Plus,
but the IRS will also tax them there.
In fact, every individual who is with Facebook, who is on Facebook, provides Facebook with an audience. So,
kaya nga ako, pag kinokontrol ako, hindi ako nagpo-post eh. Whenever I felt, Attorney Trixie, mga kababayan, whenever I felt na, the last time, nung nag-live ako, nag-live ako about yung sa nagtatali doon sa Hong Kong. Di ba nagtatali siya? Then tinakot siya ng abogado ni Lenny Robredo, si Attorney Emil Marañon. Sabi niya, election offense yan. Yung tara niya na sinabi niya, lamang si BBM. Exit survey, exit poll
daw. But it's not,
my point is that this is not exit poll because the definition is very clear.
It has to be
randomly selected voters. Ang ginawa niya, binilang niya lahat eh. Tinanong niya. So it's outside the scope of the law.
Correct.
So when I nag-live ako noon, mga a few hours later, ang reaction was already 20,000. Ang share was already 15,000. Ang views, 8,800 lang.
Okay.
So, 20,000 yung reactions. A few hours later, 20,000 yung reactions, 15,000 yung shares. Ang comments about 6,000. Ang views, 8,800. About 20 hours later, the next day, I mean, pinost yun ng mga tao eh. Nakita nila yun eh. So, the next day, ang share was about 45,000, and then our reaction was about 45,000 yata, shares 30,000. Then ang comments about 12,000. Nasa ano pa rin siya? Nasa 8,000, nasa 10,000 lang siya. Then after that, sumipa na siya bigla from 10,000 to 61,000. Bigla siya within an hour from 10,000 to 61,000, then ang naging 369,000 siya views. Pero kinontrol yung first 20 hours yata yun eh. That's very clear. So ang ginagawa ko pag kinokontrol ako, I know that they earn from me, from my posts.
Yes.
From your post, Attorney Trixie. Sa mga posts natin, mga kababayan. So ang ginagawa ko, hindi ako nagpo-post ng 3 araw up to a week. Anyway, I have not monetized my page. So since I don't earn, you don't earn as well.
Yeah, buti nga.
So yun ang ginagawa ko. Hindi ako nagpo-post. Bahala kayo.
So yung second characterization naman of the is interference with the Sovereign Act, which I think ito yung pinakamabigat dyan. Kasi they started with by labeling all government media. Nakalagay state-sponsored media.
Yeah.
By itself nga, why are we tagging? Una-una, it's superfluous. PTV is, di ba? Ano yun? Philippines? Yung P?
Yeah,
What is P?
PTV4.
Hindi ba?
PTV4 lang kasi ang alam ko.
But everybody knows dito.
That's a state media.
It's state-owned. PNA. The P is Philippine News Agency.
Yes.
Diba? P. So, kailangan i-label na state-sponsored media. Does anybody label any of these oligarch-owned media as being owned by so-and-so?
Privately owned media? Wala.
Diba?
Hindi.
No,
it's only the state.
Hindi lang, because they're talking about the state sponsoring the media, diba? O then,
it's the state sponsoring the
we
media.
should know who sponsors the rest of the media as well. For example, Lopez-sponsored media kung ABS-CBN.
Oligarch-sponsored
media.
Kasi hindi naman ordinary citizen makaka-afford ng media output,
exactly,
diba? It's the oligarchs who can do it.
You have to be a gazillionaire in order to have
because
one.
Because it's very expensive.
So, but nobody labels them.
Kumaga, they created a class na yung sa government lang.
Well,
sa
correct.
private, wala silang pakialam.
And what is that? Hindi ba class legislation yan?
Yeah.
Parang why are you singling out
you're singling
only
out
the government?
Government-sponsored media.
People's Television yung P. Okay, P.
People's Television pala.
But still pertains to a government-owned station. Okay. So, nag-start sa ganon. And then, over the weekend, the violation daw ng community standards ang PNA. And so all of their posts got flagged for being for violating community standards, and everybody who would share any one of that, they would get restricted.
Para siyang infection.
My gosh, over the weekend you could have heard a collective howl all over social media. Bakit? Diba?
So ngayon pag restricted yung content and then you shared it, you also get restricted.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about the restrictive rule. So now they have interfered with the state-owned
it's a state act.
Correct.
Because it's state-sponsored.
Which exists.
Disseminating information.
Yun, to disseminate information.
Which is one of the functions of government.
Necessary also for government to continue functioning.
Yes.
Alright, so
and they are restricting it.
State act yan na nire-restrict nila. So andyan na, nakikita na natin yung encroachment. First they label it, then they interfere with it directly.
They restrict it. They limit actually the act of government.
Correct. It's a government act.
It's a sovereign act.
Correct. Okay. And then now...
And it's in your territory.
Ayun.
In our own territory, the act of government is limited or restricted by a foreign company.
Correct. Now, this foreign company is no ordinary foreign company. Di ba sa international law, ang pwede lang magkaso sa International Court of Justice, normally states. With exceptions. Halimbawa, the Red Cross.
International body.
Others na kinikilala natin na as though they are states. Multinational corporations.
Which Meta is one.
Correct. Because they operate
clearly one.
Trans-jurisdictional sila.
Across the world.
Correct.
With a few exceptions.
And therefore, they can be sued in the ICJ. Now, you will see also, may kakampi tayo, surprisingly. Hindi lang tayo yung nakakaramdam nito. Ang Europe, nag-umpisa na sila ng measures na antitrust.
Okay.
Ang ibig po sabihin kasi ng mga antitrust measures is basically, in its basicest form, is to break up monopolies.
Yes.
So, nag-umpisa na. First, they're imposing restrictions on FB in order to operate in Europe, in the European Union. So, nag-start sila with the easy one.
Bago ito.
Bago lang. Easy part.
Because really, their operation is unbridled. Walang restrictions from state jurisdictions. Which makes them very powerful.
Very powerful.
Very, very powerful.
So, according to the European Parliament, the Facebook daw is able to facilitate or inadvertently sponsor criminal acts online. For example, sharing of child porn.
Yeah.
So, kiddie porn is all over the world banned. And it is, kumbaga...
Is that allowed on Facebook?
It's not allowed, but it happens.
Yeah, and may nakakalusot.
May nakakalusot.
Okay.
So, but on Twitter, nudity and basic pornography are allowed. Surprisingly.
Wala naman ako sa Twitter.
I am. And nagugulat ako minsan sa mga outer accounts. It's all over. And they let it all hang out, if you know what I mean. So, dun sa but the point is, so they're starting it. Included also in those restrictions are when you restrict, they can now interfere with the way that FB handles, of course, yung mga illicit, yung mga hate speech and all that. So, okay pa yung hate
illicit
speech.
Content.
Correct. Included in that also is they're restricting Facebook in interfering with certain political speech.
Okay.
So we're establishing a trend. Okay. Malaki na to, European Parliament. Dati...
That covers 30 countries, di ba?
Yes.
The European Union is 30.
That's what?
28 pala, 28. 30 ang NATO.
1/4 yata of the countries that are...
Or 32.
That are under the UN. So 130 plus ang UN, di ba?
180 plus.
Uy, 180 na.
180 plus, almost
So
190. Kasi nandan pa yung mga maliliit na...
Ay, yung mga bago, kasi yung mga
Di ba when the Soviet Union was broken up, maraming Soviet republics noon, Kazakhstan, or Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, or Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, yung mga stan na yan.
Yes.
Tapos, dito naman sa Oceania, yung mga maliliit.
Correct.
Kiribati.
Oo nga pala, so 180 na. But that's still a huge chunk. 30 plus countries.
Oh, malaki yun. And because economically speaking, mas powerful itong European Union eh.
So tapos, of course, there are the sporadic cases. I understand Vietnam is going to do something, Malaysia.
But I think Facebook is severely restricted in Vietnam.
More so now. Parang sila yung nag-initiate. China has kept out of Facebook.
Yes.
Kumbaga,
meron naman silang sarili, di ba?
WeChat.
WeChat.
WeChat. Tapos,
si Russia rin meron silang separate.
Yes,
yung
Russia has a separate.
Oh, something like that.
And then, some of the states in the US are now, may mga nagsasucceed na cases. As you know, in the US, kapag you sue them in court, the ruling becomes law.
Yes.
So dito, nakikita natin, they are starting to win. And it's also weird kasi the way they have been sued now in California on the fact checkers.
Okay.
Doon nga lumabas na ang defense ng Facebook, guess what?
Anong defense ng Facebook?
The fact checkers are only when they fact check, they are expressing their opinion. They want to make it look like they want to I think on protected speech.
They're expressing their opinion tapos yun yung gagamitin to restrict others.
Correct. Diba? So weird.
How would they explain that? That when a fact checkers fact check you, tapos ma-restrict yung post mo by reason of that act.
Yun.
So yung opinion, it's not merely an opinion.
No. More on this later when we get back. Ang oras natin 12:34 ng tanghali.
Muli nating balikan Tambayan sa DWIZ.
Nagbabalik ang Tambayan, kasama pa rin sa himpilan Attorney Glenn Chong.
Magandang tanghali po.
Ako po si Trixie Cruz Angeles. So we're talking about etong very timely. Yung ayon sa balita, pinaalala nila na tayong lahat na senador pala si Senator Bong Revilla.
Nanalo siya noong 2019.
Ano ba siya? 19.
Yeah, 2019. Di ba yung kanyang sayaw?
So, it's not even budots really in the strict sense, pero nakakapanalo pala ng election yun. Matuto na tayo. Ay, ikaw.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I'm
not going to do that.
Parang hindi ko kaya.
It's insulting to the intelligence of the Filipino people.
And to my dance skills. If any. So, okay.
Balik tayo doon sa ating issue.
So, nakikita na natin.
Makitanong kita. Have you ever heard na si Barry Gutierrez, yung spokesperson din yata ito ng kabilang parlor, yung pink parlor? Because you are more nakatuto ka sa social media than me. Na-suspended ba siya or na-restricted ba siya at any time? Have you ever heard of that?
I've never heard of
Kasi ako hindi ko na narinig na si Barry Gutierrez ay na-restricted. Samantalang si Attorney Vic Rodriguez ni-restrict ngayon.
Cisco ba may narinig kayo na ni-restrict si Lito Banayo?
Wala rin. O bakit yung spokesperson lang at chief of staff ni BBM ang na-restrict?
Tapos, pag tinignan mo, anong violation nito?
I think dapat, Attorney Trixie, going yung kanina, sinabi mo, European Union or the European Parliament is beginning to restrict. I think our legislators should also look at this, na mag-provide tayo ng legal framework in which Facebook can operate in the Philippines na hindi madihado yung sovereign acts ng gobyerno.
Correct.
And mapangalagaan yung ating freedom of speech and expression, especially pagdating sa panahon ng eleksyon.
No, ganito kasi, the problem with Facebook is that they impose a penalty.
Wala actually due process. You are not
exactly.
You do not know exactly kung bakit ka na-restrict, and you are not allowed to contest it.
Correct.
Walang mechanism na malinaw. Paano mo i-contest yung impending
and
penalty?
The fact checkers have such large powers,
Yes,
di ba? Pwede silang walang appeal, although it is part of the requirement as an accredited fact checker is dapat may appeals procedure sila.
I'm not aware.
It's in the dun sa Pointer Institute.
I mean, dito sa like for example, Rappler and Vera Files, meron ba silang mechanism for appeal?
Actually, tinignan ko especially Vera Files. Kasi ang Vera Files wala silang malinaw na appeals procedure. And that was, surprisingly, when they were getting accreditation from the Pointer Institute, it was one of those things na ninote sa kanila. Now, here's what happened. They got accredited anyway. You know why? The Pointer Institute authorized a Filipino, I don't know who he's related to check Vera Files.
Okay.
And so based on his opinion, itong walang katuturang almost nothing indicating an appeals procedure, deemed it sufficient and recommended that they be accredited with the Pointer Institute. The Pointer Institute accredits the fact checkers. Facebook relies on their accreditation.
This Pointer Institute, which is, saan ito nakabase?
Lord knows. US to, US based
malamang. Tapos may control din yata si Facebook dyan eh. It's one of their
salit-salit yan So unusually na allow ang Vera Files. I mean, let's not even talk about Rappler. Rappler supposedly allows an appeals procedure, but nobody ever gets has a successful appeal, or very, very few actually successfully appealed.
Yeah.
So, di ba? Unusual rin yung na yun. So now, you have a third party being awarded such huge
considerable powers
over our free speech. So dito it would be unthinkable. For example, the Philippine government will not contract out, for instance, to a separate party to check whether or not probable cause exists.
Yes,
so that you can file a case in court, diba? Hindi nila kino-contract out yan.
Hindi pwede yon.
But that's what Facebook does.
Effectively, that's what happens in fact-checking. Yun yung nangyayari sa fact-checking. Parang, ang gobyerno natin, hindi pwedeng i-contract out to a private company yung determination ng probable cause in order to file a criminal complaint. That is the job of the Department of Justice. Exactly. It's a government agency. Dapat ang gumagawa niyan. In the case of Facebook, parang ganun. Yung kino-contract out nila doon sa private fact-checkers.
Correct. And we have no contract with those private fact-checkers.
Oo nga. Wala tayong actually connection doon. They were just imposed on us by Facebook.
Pero they're in our faces all the time. So we are subjected to the biases of these
And
diba,
yun na nga, yung kabilang parlor, hindi sila nare-restrict.
Correct. So now, ang election is what we call a supreme act of sovereignty.
Yes.
This is where the people exercising their free will,
their freedom of to choose choice, their leaders who will govern them.
Correct. So, diba, recognized yan all over the world as the act of sovereignty. This is the one thing that nobody should be able to interfere in. Our choice of our own leaders. The sovereign is the people. Dito sa
ganito yan mga kababayan. In a democratic in a democratic country like ours, Republican, ang sistema kasi ng gobyerno natin, we give up much of our private rights to the government.
Yes.
We give up much of our private rights to the government in exchange for orderly governance, public safety, security.
Yes.
In return, ang sabi ng gobyerno, sige, kayo ang pipili ng sinong mag-govern sa inyo. So the governed will be the one to choose who will govern them for a specific period of time.
Okay.
So ito yung exercise ng ating election. It's an act of sovereignty.
Correct.
Remember, the power of government all powers of government emanates from the people. Oo. So, lahat ng kapangyarihan ng gobyerno ay nanggagaling po sa ating political na kapangyarihan. Bawat isa sa atin. It just becomes so big because collectively we entrust it to them. Pero pag tayo lang isa, insignificant yun. Kaya nga, the majority wins. Diba? Kung sino yung makakuha ng maraming boto, yun ang mananalo.
So, ito din, okay. Because the sovereign, diba? Kaya nga sovereignty is because kinikilala natin yung sovereign. What is a sovereign? It is the leader. Diba? A king is the sovereign.
In a monarchy.
In a monarchy.
The king is the monarchy. The people choose to repose their political power in their king. Tayo hindi.
And the king is chosen by God. Okay, basically ganun yun. That's
divine
divine right of kings in the Bible. So, pero dito, di ba, vox populi, vox Dei. Therefore, the choice of the people is the expression of God. Therefore, it is the people that is the sovereign. So because this is the exercise of the sovereign will, this is part of the sovereignty of the country.
Yes.
So this distinguishes us from other countries and establishes our equality with every other nation, every other sovereign state in the world. Now, ang ginagawa nitong ibang mga, kumbaga, ano ba to, magmamagaling, na ibang sovereign states, start yan. Nagpadala sila ng observers. Ano naman ang gagawin natin sa mga observers?
Yung mga observers nila gagawa ng report. Ipapublicize yung report. Meron diyang isang grupo ng observers sa US na actually, coming to observers, ano yan sila? They are actually designed to promote Smartmatic. Meron yan sila dyan. Isang grupo ng observers na it's actually funded by the US government. Tas pinopromote nila yung Smartmatic. So, duda na tayo pag mayroong mga ganun. I mean, tama si Attorney Trixie, that's actually interference in our sovereignty. Bakit kayo magpapadala rito sa amin na mag-o-observe? This is our sovereign act.
Pakin niyo sa amin.
Within our country, we are sovereign. Wala tayong pakialam sa ibang bansa, di ba? This is our territory. We are supreme, we are sovereign.
Sino ka?
Sino sila?
But this is, if you look at the historical record, this is what the pink Clowns, whatever these people are, that class of people, this is what they did in 86.
Yeah,
actually, in the run-up to the, in the snap elections, we had observers.
Tapos ngayon, meron na naman.
Even before that, nung nakakulong si Ninoy and he ran for Batasan, merong foreign observers.
In 2010,
almost
meron din.
Always US.
In 2010, meron din. Yung Carter Institute. They were here.
Yeah, I remember.
Sino ang tumakbo nun? They were here.
Diba?
Meron silang observers, yeah.
Para sa akin kasi, who you? Pupunta kayo dito to make sure that we are good.
To make sure that our elections are run according to
your formula.
To your formula. Bakit kayo nakikialam?
Exactly that. So, yan nun.
Yun na nga, yung mga Amerikano, pakialamero.
So, hindi ba pakikialam din? It's now worse than the observers kasi they can reach in to political speech which is part of informing the people so they can exercise their sovereign right. Itong exchange of ideas, nire-restrict nila. Okay lang sana kung everybody gets restricted. Pero si Barry hindi nasususpend.
Yun ang tanong ko sa'yo kanina That's what I was, yun yung pumasok sa isipan ko, si Attorney Vic, na-restrict. Si Barry kaya na-restrict? I never heard na na-restrict siya.
Oo. Dito lang. Kay BBM lang. Si Attorney Vic lang.
Yung grupo lang ni BBM kasi si Maharlika na-restrict din
Kami.
Welcome nga pala. Si Miss Maharlika is here in Manila.
Oy, talaga?
Nandito siya.
I hope she's well. Okay. Observer din siya.
Observer siya sa ating side.
Sana na. Kulang eh. Bakit ganun? Diba?
Pero yun na nga, nire-restrict nga nila. And anything else? Meron akong
yung third is act of terrorism.
Okay. Which is,
cyber-terrorism.
I agree. Yeah, cyber-terrorism.
What? Because it silences us.
I mean, you cannot anymore. I mean, pag ni-restrict ka, nalilimit talaga yung reach mo, which is less than your capacity before the restriction.
Okay. It also endangers us. Now, most of us don't think of our accounts as property, but they are. We put, for instance, personal accounts natin, we put in our photos there.
Oo.
Diba? And,
personal mo yun.
Exactly. Hindi na tayo nagpe-print ng pictures ngayon. From the cellphone, it goes to our Facebook. Tapos the Facebook acts as our album. And so pagka
repository ng ating mga memories. Yes.
When that gets
valuable
taken
memories.
down,
yes,
you lose that entire chunk. You have no other storage. Most people don't have other storage. Of course, sasabihin nila, it's stupid to put everything there and so on. Even if I had multiple, what about the expressions that I made? Yung mga, or they encouraged us to make Facebook something like our online diary. And then yung pala, they can take it away from us anytime.
Pinopost mo yun habang kumakain ka, anong kakainin mo.
Diba? So,
anong ulam mo ngayong umaga.
What I ate at X restaurant in 2004.
Saan ka napunta at this particular
2009,
time, this place, pag nag-travel ka abroad, pinopost mo doon sa Facebook. Those are, ang Facebook is the repository of your valuable memories. Tapos, kukunin nila sa'yo, they will restrict you. That's cyber-terrorism.
Exactly, because it threatens us. It silences us.
Matatakot ka na eh. Na-examplean si Attorney Vic Rodriguez eh.
Correct.
So matatakot ka na yun. Hindi na lang ako magpo-post kasi mawawala yung mga pinost ko before. O ma-restrict.
Hindi ko na i-share si Attorney Vic kasi baka ako naman ang ma-restrict.
Di ba kanina sabi mo yung sa PNA?
Di ba?
Post and then when you shared it, you also get restricted. You also get infected.
Di ba? In our own cybercrimes law, sharing and liking do not create a criminal liability.
Yes, of course.
Because there is a different intent dito.
Magkaiba yung nag-intent ng post. Intent ng nag-post at yung nag-share.
So, Facebook, ang hinahabol nila supposedly are the proliferation of quote-unquote fake news. Okay. So, pero for example, a sharer may not have the capability of discerning the same way that a creator has liability for what they express.
Magkaiba yung mindset ng creator and the person who merely shared it. Kasi iba yung context nila eh. So, kung ako, like for example, may pinost ka, you may actually mean more than what I actually understood.
Yun.
But I still shared it.
Yeah.
So magkaiba yung context natin.
And magkaiba yung intent natin. And you do not acquire ownership over the idea simply because you shared it.
Yeah, hindi.
You do not acquire the malice.
The ownership is there sa originator.
Dun sa creator.
The malice is also there, hindi sa'yo.
Exactly. And yet, they'll punish you in the same way.
Equally.
Nakakaloka, di ba?
Without distinction.
So
dapat ang i-punish mo lang kung may fake news, ang i-punish mo ayun si creator.
Exactly.
But not the sharer. But para sasabihin nila na.
And then when we go after creators, you have to, because you're taking down an expression, you have to be precise because at
least dapat may explanation na we're taking this down because ganito.
Okay.
At least it's clear.
Dun sa fake news kasi, pwede naman, why do you have to take it down? Because it's free speech. You leave it up, pero why don't you flag it and say, fake fact checker said this? So those two will exist and people will learn. Hindi yung magte-take down ka, magre-restrict ka, you're punishing them for saying something.
Oo, dapat comparison yun. Ito yung sinabi mo, ito yung sinabi ng fact checkers. And let the people decide.
Diba? Not everybody has the same level of discernment or education so that you can punish everybody with a one-size-fits-all kind of penalty.
That's correct. Yung one-size-fits-all penalty. And it is applied uniformly.
Diba?
Without
It doesn't
distinction.
matter.
Although magkaiba yung kalagayan
Correct.
ng creator and the sharers.
Malicious or innocent, it doesn't make a difference to Facebook. They will throttle you,
But
they'll
Attorney
restrict
Trixie,
you.
And no matter how much they try to tilt the public opinion in favor of the kabilang parlor, it's impossible to really for her to win, 'di ba? Kasi
I like this. Continue.
Dito papunta tayo doon. 'Di ba yung Publicos survey lumabas kahapon? Si BBM is already at 57%.
Yes.
Shinare ko na siya kasi 57% na nung 51, 52 hindi ko sinishare. Nung 57% I made a post. Okay. So I think si Lenny is 21.
Yes.
21% yata siya.
Roughly.
Okay, sige. Sabihin natin 21%. But 57 sigurado ako si BBM 57%. Kasi si Sarah is 59%. So kung 57% si BBM. And then si Lenny is 21%. Ang diferensya is 36%, di ba? So wala pa siyang kalahati. 6% ang undecided. So throw it to her. Sige, sabihin mo lang. So 27%. Ang problema, sinabi si Pulse Asia, di ba? 20% daw ng taong bayan, yung mga respondents, magbabago yung choice on the day of the elections. Imposible yun. In the case of BBM, kasi 89% says hindi na magbabago yung isip nila.
Correct.
So, dun sa Publicos survey, sa 57%, 89% dun, hindi na magbabago. Fixed na yun. Firm na yun. That is equivalent to 52.5%. So,
it's still a majority.
It's still a majority. No matter what you do, no matter kung ano pang argumento ninyo,
Totoo.
ang 57% ni BBM, 89% doon ay fixed na, hindi na magbabago, which translates to 52.5%. So kahit pa ano pang magic ang gagawin mo ni Lenny, she would only be for maximum. Sabihin natin na wala sila Isko, na wala yung iba yon. Nasa kanya lahat. Would only be 47.5%. Lamang pa rin si BBM minimum of 5%, which means actually about 3 million votes.
So,
So, no matter anong gagawin nila, yun nga,
if
Attorney
really
Trixie.
expressed,
Yun nga sabi ko. Ang naglalaban ngayon sa eleksyon na to, si Lenny at si Isko para sa number 2. O para sa number 2 spot. Kasi yung number 1 spot, si BBM na yun, malinaw na yun.
ang gusto ko kasing number 2, as if may boto tayo para sa number 2, sina Ernie Abella.
Ako, I don't entertain anymore number 2 kasi hindi naman talaga ipoproklama yun.
Hindi kaya nga. Kumbaga, gusto ko lang makigulo dito sa gulo ni Lenny.
Kasi nag-aaway sila eh.
Nag-aaway sila kung
kasi,
sino yung mas talo.
That's right. Pinipilit kasi ni Isko na siya dapat ang matitira. Kasi siya daw yung second choice.
Yes.
It does not work anymore because whether he likes it or not, BBM is there to stay.
Oo naman.
So, that's irrelevant. Yung second best choice is irrelevant. Obviously, si Lenny is also not the winner because kunti lang ang pumili sa kanya. And the consistent winner and the first choice is always BBM.
Yep.
And then ito before
Buti sana kung meron pang konting, alam mo yan, yung room to
maneuver.
Yung
elbow room.
Baka makanakaw pa sila ng boto kay BBM, whether it's by persuasion or other means. Diba?
Imposible na yun.
Exactly.
Mahirapan
yun
kahit si Smartmatic sa tingin ko pagpapawisan ng by the drums, by the barrel.
Talaga. Hirap.
At any rate, Attorney Trixie,
yes,
we
go.
still have a few, just a minute. Di ba sa Milan o sa Italy, made-in balloting, ang balota ay parang balota ng barangay election? Di ba yung isusu... Oo. So, yun pala
ang... Iba yung form ng Italy.
Iba yung form ngayon. So, ang balota po ng ating mga kababayan dyan sa Italy and Taiwan or areas na may mailed-in balloting, parang barangay election, yung papel lang, tapos isusulat mo yung mga president, vice president, 12 senators. So, ang mangyayari, magtatara sila doon sa embahada.
Okay.
Kasi bibilangan naman walang makina. Tapos i-transmit yung resulta. That's hybrid election system.
Exactly.
So, ngayon, that's my point.
Gawin natin testing. We can
that's
get
my
the
point,
data from
Attorney
Italy.
Trixie. Pwede naman pala ang hybrid election system under the existing laws, BP 881 at Republic Act 9369. Bakit hindi ginawa yan ng COMELEC this time? So ngayon, napatunayan nyo, pwede palang gamitin ang hybrid election system sa overseas absentee voting. So sa 2025, mag-hybrid election system tayo.
Meron na tayong data
meron
from
na tayo.
Italy.
Italy, Taiwan, and other countries na may mailed-in balloting.
Correct. So don't freak out dahil iba yung sa Italy. Let's use it.
Let's use it para ma-justify natin yung hybrid election system sa 2025 at wala ng Smartmatic.
Yun, panalo. And on that note, maraming salamat sa pagsubaybay sa amin.
Thank you.
Ni Attorney Glenn
Until
dito sa Tambayan. We'll see you tomorrow on Karambola, 8 to 10 ng umaga. Ako po si Trixie Cruz Angeles.
Tambayan sa DWIZ.